Tonight on Joynews Prime, President Akufo-Addo promises to work together with a speaker nominated by the opposition NDC as he's sworn in to serve a second four-year term.
I'm confident that both of us will be guided in our relationship by the supreme interest of our people in ensuring good governance.
He's also pledged to work towards building the kind of Ghana its citizens have always dreamed of. The beautiful swearing-in ceremony witnessed by presidents and dignitaries from around the world was, however, not as dramatic and eventful as the transition to the 8th Parliament.
All these
We'll also tell you how the Clerk of Parliament, who has been in office for less than 2 years, faced the toughest test of any of the clerks of the Fourth Republic. We're also in Sombo in the Upper West region, where the inhabitants are happy that one of their own has been elevated to the third highest office of the land.
The Speaker of Parliament, we are all happy because it's a step that he's putting ahead for us all to follow.
In business, Ghana's business community shares expectations of the 8th Parliament as well as the second term of President Akufo-Addo.
You need to be very competitive. If you are not competitive, others will take your market. Even your local market will be taken away.
We need to move a step further, improve our business environment, make businesses very competitive.
My name is Joynews. Joynews Prime is coming to you live from our Fanofa studios at Kokomilbe here in Accra on your digital terrestrial TV, because we're free to air, and also on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 144. This is a home of independent, fearless, credible, and impactful journalism. Do stay tuned in. President Akufo-Addo has pledged to build upon the foundation developed in his first term to transform Ghana into the country its citizens have always dreamed of and envisaged by its founding fathers. In his inaugural address after being sworn in for a second term, the president assured Ghanaians that renewal of his mandate is a privilege he does not take for granted.
What I have seen these last 4 years is further evidence, if any were needed, that the Ghanaian will no longer accept poverty and deprivation as his or her portion, but is rather determined to work to chart a path of growth and development for himself or herself. Today, our economy, even in the face of the global pandemic of COVID-19, continues to show resilience and a much faster rate of recovery than originally envisaged, and was indeed one of the fastest growing economies in the world in 2020. Ghana remains one of the most attractive destinations on the continent for direct foreign investment, with the presence in the country of some of the world's largest conglomerates attesting to this fact. Establishing a strong economy, undergoing structural transformation to value-added activities, which will generate jobs for our young people and enhance their living standards, will be the main preoccupation of my second term. Together, we're ensuring that the basic tenets of social justice are met. Many said it was beyond us, but we have ensured that financial considerations no longer determine the fate of the Ghanaian child. Because of the implementation of the free senior high school policy, once willing and able, senior high school education is the minimum education to be received by every Ghanaian child.
He congratulated Aban Bagbin on his election as the first speaker to be nominated by a party other than that of the sitting president.
Together, you and I will be chartering new territory in the governance and politics of the Fourth Republic. For this is the first time in the life of the Republic that a president from one party will be obliged by the exigencies of the moment and the will of the people to work in all sincerity and cooperation with a Speaker of Parliament from another party. I'm confident that both of us will be guided in our relationship by the supreme interest of our people in ensuring good governance in the ordering of the affairs of state. I want to assure you of my wholehearted determination to work with you to advance the peace, progress, and prosperity of the Ghanaian people.
Now, an MP snatched ballot papers, some exchanged punches and open brawl, some pushed to the ground, fight over seats, and armed soldiers stormed the chamber in what turned out to be further hostilities between them and the MPs. A day of shame. That's how some legislators themselves summed up how they conducted themselves in an overnight vote. In the end, Abang Bagbing emerged victorious in the contest with his former boss, Professor Aaron Michael Quay. Here's a politics desk report capturing all the events since sitting begun a minute after midnight. Joseph Akable has more.
The NDC MPs were the first to enter Parliament. They proceeded to sit at the right side, which is reserved for the majority side of the House. This set the stage for what many knew would be quite an eventful night. Promised to be a heated contest as the NDC and NPP had each served notice they would nominate a candidate. As soon as the Clerk of Parliament took his seat, the two nominations were made, but this was not without drama and controversy.
Because that was a preliminary inquiry, which was reiterated by the Honourable Member for Swami. And therefore,
the Futu MP Afenyo Markin asked the clerk to confirm whether he had received an injunction order barring NDC MP James Kwesi from holding himself out as MP-elect.
I am aware of the process that has been mounted.
This resulted in hours of heated debate and resistance from the NDC MPs, despite the clerk ruling that the NDC member could not take part in proceedings.
I received an order of interlocutory injunction.
He did participate in the election, but the process turned chaotic on at least 3 occasions. First, an NPP MP who was voting was accused by the NDC of showing his ballot to another person.
The Chamber of Parliament is the People's Chamber.
This threw the chamber into chaos amid the exchange of punches, kicking of ballot boxes to the ground, and the tearing of polling booths. All these were carried out by MPs. The military entered the chamber in what will for years remain unprecedented in an attempt to resolve the matter. It only worsened the situation as some MPs tried to lay hands on the ballot box amid singing of revolutionary songs. Was eventually restored as the military retreated and exited. Chaos, however, reared its ugly head yet again, this time during the counting of ballots. NPP MP Carlos Ahinkra was captured on camera talking to Swami MP Oseiche Mensah Bonsu few seconds after he headed towards the center of the chamber where counting was being observed by whips Frank Anodompre, Muntaka Mubarak and the Futu MP Afenyo Markin. Mr. Ahinkra in a split second seized the ballot sheets from the hands of an official and made a dash for the exit. This left MPP MP Afenyo Markin in what appears to be a surprised mood as Muntaka and other NDC MPs pursued Mr. Ahinkra. He was grabbed when he almost succeeded in exiting and became the recipient of punches and slaps from various quarters.
Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagbin was sworn in as the Speaker of the 8th Parliament, pledging to serve the people of Ghana faithfully. Here's the sneak peek of life of the Speaker of the 8th Parliament.
Except only those who tried conjuring what is not food. I will submit myself to the will of this House and pledge to serve my dear country, to serve you, and to serve all Ghanaians faithfully to the best of my ability. I will also conscientiously discharge my duties as a Speaker of this Parliament. I want to promise wholeheartedly to put at the disposal of Parliament and the country the store of knowledge, immense experience, and the huge data bank I have accumulated and accommodated over the 28 years that I have been a member of this House.
Those are the promises of the new Speaker of the 8th Parliament, Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagbin, shortly after he was sworn in, promising to uphold the virtues and be a unifier for the House. He won a chaotic, closely contested secret ballot in the Chamber of Parliament on Thursday against former Speaker Professor Aaron Michael Quay. Mr. Bagbin makes history for being the first Speaker of Parliament who is not selected by the governing party. Born on September 24, 1957 at Sombo in the Upper West region, the former Member of Parliament for Nadoli Kaleo and former Majority Leader started schooling at an early age at the Roman Catholic Primary School Sombo, did his second cycle education at Wa Secondary School and ended at the Tamale Secondary School, where he earned his ordinary level and advanced level certificates before entering the University of Ghana in 1977. Alban Bagbin is a graduate of the University of Ghana, attending from 1977 to 1980, and the Ghana School of Law from 1980 to 1982. He holds an executive master's in governance and leadership from the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration, GIMPA. Alban Bagbin, a former health minister in the Mills administration in 2008, became majority leader in Parliament in 2009. Following a cabinet reshuffle in January 2010, he was appointed Minister for Water Resources, Works and Housing by President Atta Mills. In the Mahama administration, he was the majority leader of Parliament after he succeeded Dr. Benjamin Kumbo, who was appointed as the Minister for Defence. Mr. Bagbin has served as an MP since 1993 and was second Deputy Speaker of the 7th Parliament, which was dissolved at midnight on January 6, 2021. He didn't contest in the parliamentary elections in 2020, and his name came up for election as MP when the NDC and NPP won equal number of seats at the polls.
We have one more profile for you this evening at 8 p.m. and this time it's that of President Akufo-Addo, who has been sworn in to rule for the second term of his 4 years, for another 4-year term. But there is joy and excitement at Sombo in the Nadoli Kaleo district of the Upper West region, where the Speaker of Ghana's 8th Parliament hails from. They are happy that one of their own has been elevated to the third highest office of the land. Joynews' Upper West region correspondent Rafiq Salam, who visited the community, reports that people are hopeful his new office will not only lead to the development of the community, but the region as a whole.
The 8th session of Parliament started this morning with the election of Honorable Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagbin as the Speaker of the House. We are right here at Sombo, located in the Nadoli district of the Upper West region. There are two communities in the Upper West region that bear the name Sombo, Wala Sombo in the Wa municipality and Daga Sombo in the Nadoli district. The new Speaker of Parliament, Right Honorable Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagbin, has close relations in the two communities. He was born here at Dagasombo to a father who was a farmer and a mother who was a basket weaver. He lives all his 63-year-old life here, except some few years ago when he moved to Wallasombo. He used to share this house with his immediate sibling, Pastor Moses Bagbin, but upon the movement of his elder sibling to Wallasombo, he is the sole person here, staying with his wife and 8 children and grandchildren. As a minister of God, he didn't go to sleep, but throughout the entire night, prayed for the successful election of his senior sibling. I break my back throughout the night to pray for God to intervene. If the new position will be better for him, may he be elected. Pastor Moses Babin noted that the election of Alban Sumana Kinsport Babin as a Speaker of Parliament is a good omen for not only Dagasombo but the entire Upper West region, a view equally shared by an elated nephew of the Speaker, Jonathan Babin.
As an uncle, and then he's elected as the Speaker of Parliament. We are all happy because it's a step that he's putting ahead for us all to follow. Then it's we have to also take up the mantle to also go ahead with whatever he's doing. So it's good for us and it's a good name for the family.
Bartholomew Nambazin is a cousin and a bleeding heart defender of the record of Alban Babin.
For the young ones that are coming up, this shows that you can be from, the lowest background, but you can rise up to the top. That is if you are determined, if you are, committed to what you are seeking for, you will actually get to the ultimate, and that is what is a joy to all of us. Then the other thing is that, things like this definitely has been bringing a lot of development to Sombo. For instance, supporting us, children to go to school, supporting with infrastructure and clinics and whatever.
Majority of the people here, especially the youth, are without jobs. They are hopeful his elevation will change the trend.
Right from the beginning, when he came to assist his PC, he was saying that his wish was, when John Dramani Mahama wins the presidency, he was definitely going to become the Speaker. So there will be 3 heads who they will all gather hands and bring development to the community. But God still being very grateful. Now we have 2 hands. So in our local language there's a saying that Kabadayi Suwanga Babora. So with our member of parliament and with him, he can still pull more development as he continued to do in the previous years, and now he's going to do more.
We want job. We don't have job here. We want job. We don't have work here to do. We want plenty work to do. So we are sitting here. You don't see the man, the dumb boys is sitting here.
Can you be a president?
Bagwin can do it,
Especially the youth are without jobs. They are hopeful his elevation will change the trend. Alban Babin's dream, right from his World Secondary School days, where he was among the first batch of students 51 years ago, was to be president of the Republic of Ghana. Bartholomew Nambazin is of the family that dream has partly been fulfilled.
That the vice president will also travel, and it will just fall on him. Kulchop, they will announce him as the president of Ghana, if it is even just 6 hours. But that is the joy, and that also shows that even what he was aiming at, contesting as the the presidential candidate for the NDC, definitely he is going to now combine all, being the speaker and sometimes also taste the presidency.
Reporting for Joynews, Rafiq Salam, Sombo.
Hey, watching Joynews Prime, we're taking a break, but still ahead we have more stories and business. Plus, at 8 p.m. we're bringing you a profile of President Akufo-Addo in Ghana's greats. Now, the several dramatic scenes that characterize the swearing-in of MPs of the 8th Parliament is a snatching of some sheets of paper believed to be ballots cast for the election of Speaker by an MP who has found himself in the news a few times already for one controversy or another, 54-year-old Carlos Kingsley Ahenkra. The MP, who is representing the people of Tema West for the second time after he was first elected in 2016, was until July 2020 the Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry. Here's a chronicle of a few of the notable incidents which have plagued Mr. Ahenkra's last 4 years and a day as a legislator.
Carlos Ahenkra, in August 2017, was suspended by the Assembly after he attacked an engineer who was supervising the demolition of unauthorized structures erected on the shoulders of the road in Tema. Then, at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic in Ghana last year, Mr. Ahenkra stepped out to monitor a voter registration exercise by the Electoral Commission in his constituency, as a very interested party will do, except he had tested positive for coronavirus. He, however, had justification for defying doctors' orders to self-isolate.
Tuesday, I decided to just pass through and see how some of the centers were operating.
But at the time, no, you knew your test results, so what tested positive?
Oh yes, of course. But it didn't mean that I couldn't go out.
He was flayed by many Ghanaians who believed he had been grossly irresponsible, and pressure group Occupy Ghana asked the president to sack him. The legislator subsequently resigned from his deputy ministerial position, but that was after reports 3 members of his campaign team had also tested positive for COVID-19, with one of them reportedly losing their life. The woes of Mr. Ahenkra deepened when he was barred from stepping foot in the palace of the Tema Traditional Council. The MP then came under pressure to step down and not contest the December 2020 parliamentary election. He, however, defied the calls and won a second term, and happened to have started that term with yet another controversy. This time, live on national television, he could be seen engaging in a conversation shortly before he made a dash for the papers in front of the Clerk of Parliament and making off with them. He was giving a hot chase, and what happened to be a few fists thrown at him until one of his colleagues came to his rescue. He has refused to explain his reason for his action and comment until Friday.
How are you doing?
I will speak to you tomorrow.
Why did you snatch the ballot paper? Why did you do that?
Tomorrow.
Why did you snatch the ballot paper?
Social media is, however, refusing to let the matter die off, and many are wondering what sanctions are there in store for parliamentary ballot snatchers. Hannah Rami for Joynews.
We're taking a break, but up next in business, Ghana's business community shares expectations of the 8th Parliament as well as the second term of President Akufo-Addo.
You need to be very competitive. If you are not competitive, others will take your market. Even your local market will be taken away.
We need to move a step further, improve our business environment, make businesses very competitive.
Stay tuned in, we'll be back in a bit.
Hello there, welcome to Business. I'm Charles Aitib. Ghana's business community is hopeful of more business-friendly bills to be passed by the 8th Parliament, even as the Continental Free Trade Agreement era begins. We will hear from the heads of the Association of the Ghana Industries, AGI, as well as the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce shortly. But first, take a listen to President Akufo-Addo's inaugural address, calling for more value addition to make businesses competitive.
Today, our economy, even in the face of the global pandemic of COVID-19, continues to show resilience and a much faster rate of recovery than originally envisaged, and was indeed one of the fastest growing economies in the world in 2020. Ghana remains one of the most attractive destinations on the continent for direct foreign investment, with the presence in the country of some of the world's largest conglomerates attesting to this fact. Establishing a strong economy undergoing structural transformation to value-added activities, which will generate jobs for our young people and enhance their living standards, will be the main preoccupation of my second term.
Well, the business community has called for the new parliament and government to be aggressive in the passage of bills and the introduction of policies that will improve the competitiveness of the business climate. We hear first from the Chief Executive of the AGI, Sechum Akwabwa, after which we'll hear from the Chief Executive of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry.
You need to be very competitive. If you are not competitive, others will take your market. Even your local market will be taken away with imports from abroad. So you've got to be competitive. But being competitive means that you must have the factors of production in the most efficient manner. You must produce at a price that is very good. It means that your cost of production must be really low and competitive. Great. If you are borrowing at a very high interest cost, if you are buying electricity at a very high cost, if you are paying labor at a very high cost, then you have a challenge in being competitive. So if you ask me what has been the reason for manufacturing lagging behind, it is because our environment for manufacturing has not been conducive enough.
We are encouraging them to work together, because anything apart from that will be detrimental to Ghana and also to the economy of Ghana. We are hopeful that in the years to come, a lot of the bills, business-related bills, will go there, and they should look at it in the interest of Ghana and not in any partisan interest, because anything that will affect the private sector will also largely affect the economy of Ghana and the people of Ghana. So we are looking forward to a situation where both the NDC and the MPP will work consensuously on issues that come to them. Of course, the budget for 2021 up to 2024 from the president will go to parliament, and most of the things are issues that affect the private sector in terms of how they are going to manage the economy, how they are going to build a very robust economy, stable exchange rates, lower inflation, the revenues and the expenditures, and also debt related to Ghana's economy. So they should look at it largely in the interest of Ghana, and I hope that if they do that, Ghana will be the winner. We need peace. We need an environment that will help the private sector to try. In fact, one of the main reasons why somebody will invest in the economy is to where they have peace and where they have a secured environment. The reason why we have had a lot of FDI, among others, is that people feel that we have a secured environment, we have a peaceful environment, so they feel comfortable investing in the country.
Well, and even as we close the chapter, of course, we have closed the chapter on the 7th Parliament. Here is a list of the business-friendly bills passed by the former Parliament. First of all was that of the Customs Amendment Bill 2017, which sought to amend specific issues of imported vehicle parts into the country. The second one also has to do with varied forms, the Companies Bill. It was very big in 2020, especially when it sought to establish the office of the Registrar of Companies, which set out the clear rules in the timing of registering your businesses in the country. Also, the Income Tax Amendment Act 2017 was very big for businesses, especially when it sought to waive off taxes from the gains made from the Ghana Stock Exchange in order to boost foreign direction when it comes to investment onto the local bears. And this and many other, including the income tax as well, was introduced under the 7th Parliament, of which Ghana's business community is much more hopeful of more business-friendly bills, even that of the Special Petroleum Tax Amendment Act of 2017 as well. So that closes the chapter on the 7th Parliament. The business community is much more eager on the best improvements in legislations for the business community in this current Parliament. That's it by way of business. I'm Charles IHS. Sports is up next.
Thank you for staying with us on this Inauguration Day edition of Joynews Prime. I'm Gary Alsmith with the sport. And as you know, as the Ghana Premier League is about to get into match day 8, we are preparing for the expected influx of fans to match venues nationwide following the government of Ghana's easing of restrictions of football being played behind closed doors. On Tuesday, the Sports Ministry announced that fans can now fill up to 25% of the stadia and now will interrogate the readiness to ensure that COVID protocols are followed. Joining us via Zoom is Dr. Prince Pambo, who is a member of the CAF medical team. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. I know that the first reaction from lots of people will be, why are they speaking to a CAF man on a GFA issue? And that's because at CAF level, you have undergone several months of overseeing this. So what would you advise Ghanaian football authorities and clubs as we head into getting fans into stadia?
Thank you very much, Gary. I think the decision to ease the restrictions on the number of persons who can be at the stadia would not necessarily be a wrong one. It's all just about timing. So yes, COVID-19 is here to stay with us, and COVID-19 probably it's not going away anytime soon. So yes, we just have to probably learn to live with it. So if government has given the go-ahead that various stadia could admit 25% of capacity, it is up to us, the fans, to also try to be very responsible. I mean, after all, we go to church, we go for other gatherings. So all the necessary COVID-19 protocols which are in place, washing of hands, sanitizing, wearing of face mask, social distancing. I feel all these things we would need to put in place as individuals, and the various clubs and the sports authority and the football association would need to just make sure that these protocols are implemented well. Our various stadiums should have good running water, soap to wash hands and all that. I believe once we do all these things, which are all part of the daily practices we are expected to be doing in this pandemic, we should be good to go. We really cannot lock out fans forever. And for me, I think the responsibility boils down to we, the fans, and then how we should be conducting ourselves.
Well, it's also worthy of note that, I mean, we are seeing pictures from one of the games, Bechem versus Karela. And at this game, we are seeing on our screen, even before the protocols were relaxed by the government, we saw people trooping as well. How do we, and without observing the protocols, how do we let the message sink in from your experience at the CAF level, where across the continent, some countries, you know, like Tanzania say COVID-19 is not a problem there, so any number of people can go to the stadia. To some countries that have 50%, how do you... You can't force people to behave, but how do you generally, practically, ensure that the protocols are observed?
Yeah, let me even come in by saying that COVID-19, the cases are beginning to go up. This is probably not just sport related, but a general word of caution. The cases are really beginning to look up. People are contracted it, people are falling sick, and some are probably losing their lives. So I just needed to put this through so that the fans who go to the stadia, we should make it easy for those who are supposed to implement the protocols to do it and do it well. I mean, so we just have to be a bit strict about it. So if it comes to ticketing, how people should come into the stadia, we should have some measures put in place. I mean, we should have some markings where people will literally have to be spaced out, the proper physical distancing, which we have been preaching. If you do have a mask and you go into the stadia, you should be thrown out. I know various stadia where they wouldn't even encourage you to go in with some food, because if you have to be eating, then you probably have to pull off your mask. So at no point in time should one take off their mask. So that, I mean, if the various teams or the clubs would have what we call COVID-19 safety officers, in place. These are the people who should ensure that if somebody is not doing it right, the people should be thrown out of the stadium. I remember covering one of the CAF Champions League games, a semi-final match in Cairo. Yes, there were no fans, but even the limited number of officials who came to watch the game, I had the duty of walking through the VIP stands, and if you did not have your mask on, you were going to be walked out of the stadium. Yeah. So if we implement this and come up with some sanctions, so if, for instance, we watch a game on TV and we see that, hey, Kotoko was allowed to play a game, fans came and they probably did not conduct themselves well by way of observing the protocols. I mean, the FA should be able to sanction.
Okay. Dr. Pombo, please be wrapping up for us.
Not insisting on the right things to be done. I mean, something should be put in place to make sure that the home teams are the ones who would have the responsibility of helping fans to do the right thing. But I think it boils down to an individual level, because if you get COVID-19, you get it as an individual, you take it to your home to infect other people in your home. And if we understand it and take it from that point, I think it's going to help all of us.
Nice one. Thank you, Dr. Prince Pombo, for giving us that bit of practical advice on what to do as the match day 8 of the Ghana Premier League bears down upon us. We'll be looking at the fixtures and more tomorrow. I'm Gary Al Smith. For now, that's the sport. We'll go for a break. When we continue, when we come back, the news continues.
It was supposed to be a battle of wit and strategy. On a night when two experienced legislators, one a former boss of the other, were expected to go toe-to-toe in what promised to be a tight race for speakership in Ghana's 8th parliament. Both the NDC and MPP had claimed to be in the majority, even before the dissolution of the 7th parliament, giving an indication of the drama to expect at the birth of the 8th. The progress of the night's business, however, rested on the shoulders of one man. Manuel Koranting reports on how Cyril Kwabena Otinginsia, who had been Clerk of Parliament for barely 2 years, had to face the toughest test of any of his predecessors in the Fourth Republic.
Oh God, grant us a vision of our country, a country of brotherhood, where all success shall be founded on service, a country of peace, where government shall rest on the will of the people and the love for the common good. Bless the efforts of those who struggle to make this vision a living reality.
Excerpts of the prayer that sets the tone for what will go down in history as perhaps the most unforgettable night in Ghana's parliament. What's more, it was said by the clerk of the House, Cyril Kwabena Otinginsia, who was in for his most challenging task yet since he became clerk in 2019. On the stroke of midnight, the 7th Parliament stood dissolved and the clerk, also a lawyer by profession, was ready. His job was to superintend over the election of the Speaker.
Pursuant to Standing Order 8.3, I, Cyril Kwabena Otinginsia, Clerk to Parliament, acting as Chairman of the first sitting of Parliament, do invite you to this August sitting today, Thursday, the 7th day of January 2021 at 7 minutes after midnight for the purpose of electing a speaker and administering the oaths of office.
The next 12 hours after this statement would reveal what many have described as the failure of the clerk to keep a leash on the 275 MPs elect who were clearly divided on who the next Speaker of the House should be. First, a fiery query on whether or not his office had been served the order of the Cape Coast High Court barring Asin North MP-elect James Jachekwesing from being sworn in.
I want to find out from you, Mr. Chair, whether or not you have received a court order in respect of a plaint by Michael Ankuma Nina.
Wait.
Which order makes reference to any person on the list as you provided?
This debate over his attempt to deny Mr. Gyakye Singh the opportunity to vote would drag for hours, even though it also meant he was every now and then accorded the high office of Speaker.
Service could be served on the Clerk of Parliament, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman. In this argument that is on the floor of Parliament, Mr. Speaker, on this argument that is on the floor of Parliament, if you listen to the argument just raised by Honorable Ayariga, it is in contravention of Article 117. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman.
The pressure on him to make a pronouncement on the way forward was telling. At least, it wasn't lost on Parliament's Director of Public Affairs, Kate Addo, who reached out to rub his back in a bid to calm him. But that was not enough to save him from the night, which was only to get more chaotic and grueling. From vandalizing ballot screens to snatching a ballot box, the MPs will not oblige the signal of his gavel, even with the presence of the army. He will be accused of not being firm enough and blamed for everything that happened on the night by the same MPs who refused to yield to his authority. But in the end, the job was done and history was made. Under the supervision of Cyril Kwabena Otensia, Parliament elected the first member of the opposition to the high office of Speaker.
I have the honor to declare Honorable Alban Kingsford Sumana Bagbin as Speaker-elect.
And that'll be all for the bulletin for this evening. I'm Israelite. Thank you very much for watching. Up next, we're bringing you our profile of President Akufo-Addo. So stay tuned in.